Welcome to this day. I'm going to take you through Health Nugget. My name is Mwango. I'm a counseling psychologist, and I've specialized in child psychology, art, and play therapy. So today, as we may all know that yesterday was World AIDS Day, and today is the counseling Sabbath. So we are going to incorporate everything, and I hope somebody will learn something. So my focus today is not entirely on HIV, but just a section in HIV. So don't get worried like, why didn't she tell us about the causes and all that? But it is just a section that really affects us, the people who are living with HIV. So my title is Embracing Positivity. Embracing Positivity. Now, I said that yesterday was World AIDS Day, and being that today is the first Sabbath that is following HIV World AIDS Day, let me just define what HIV AIDS is. And HIV is basically a virus that attacks human body immunity, which is a human immunodeficiency virus. And AIDS is, this is the late stage of the HIV infection. And this happens if the HIV has really affected your immunity so badly that it is very difficult to repair, and therefore you become very weak. So as you may have seen what has been projected in that slide, so that will help you learn more. Now that I mentioned that I deal so much with child psychology, play, and art therapy, I cannot leave this pulpit without talking about the youth, because the youth are also affected with this virus. Some of them have acquired them as they are growing up. Some of them were born with it. Their parents were positive, and so they were born with it. They've survived up to this end. Now, my focus is on the people that were not born with it. A question is posed: why are young people at a higher risk of HIV? We have a few points, and some you may think about and maybe just add in your late study. Lack of sexuality education for the young people. When I was still young, we were being told that, olden days, girls used to be taught sexuality with their grandparents and their aunties. Boys used to be taught about sexuality with their uncles and grandfathers. Nowadays, hardly do we even see our grandparents. We are always in the city, and when we go to see our grandparents, we don't even speak the same language. We don't even understand it. So how is my grandmother or my own auntie going to teach me about this? Then rarely do they think of going for HIV test unless they are unwell. Even just the grown-ups who has just walked. When did you last walk into a facility and said, I'm here to be tested? Just answer yourself and reflect on that. Then young people from high-risk groups are usually neglected. And this group that I'm talking about is the group of people that inject themselves with drugs. We know that this happens in our society. As a church, hardly do we talk about this until when something happens, then our minds are triggered and we remember of just giving something little, and we leave and we now come back to speaking about salvation, Sabbath, and everything. Yet, the people that we should be speaking to are not in church. They are out there struggling. And then they are also vulnerable to due to poverty. The place where I spend most of my time during the week, that is my workplace, I've met the youth that have told me very shocking things. Are we aware that there are some of our youth members that have unprotected sex with grown-ups so that they can get gifts, so that they can afford to buy sanitary towels since their parents cannot afford? They have these so that they can have money to go and share with their friends. They have unprotected sex to go and fit in their social group. So that is one reason. Then insufficient knowledge about HIV and self-protection. Most of our youth, we don't know how to protect ourselves very much because, as I said earlier, hardly do we talk about it. In church, when we come here, we don't talk about HIV most of the time. And I've never seen somebody come here and just say, today we are going to talk about HIV. We are going to have a discussion. We are going to share our personal experiences. Does it mean that we are not infected in this church? Do we have people who are infected? If not, do we have people who are affected? Because if my neighbor is infected, if my auntie is infected, my spouse, my child, my sibling, then I am affected. So in one way or the other, all of us need to know more about HIV. Now, this is where I was headed. I'm going to talk about stigma. That's why my title was Embracing Positivity. What is stigma? We've heard about people saying, that's stigmatizing that person. Oh, when we do this, I'll be stigmatizing them. Or if you do that to me, I feel stigmatized. But do we really know what this is? And in our day-to-day life interaction, do we ever stigmatize person? Do we even stigmatize ourselves? Now, HIV stigma is a negative attitude and beliefs about people living with the HIV. It's just a negative attitude. Let me tell you, there's someone who can be HIV positive but live longer than you who is not HIV negative. So let us avoid this issue of having HIV, having negative attitude towards them. Let us not say that it is them, the people in the community. As in church, we are not, we are not affected in any way. Yet, I'm leaving my sibling out there who is HIV infected. Or I'm leaving my spouse at home who is HIV infected. We also forget that when we leave church, when we leave Newlife, we are no longer Newlifers, we are the community. Because there's another group of people again who is saying the community. And now we are in the community. Then people who are HIV positive would imagine that everyone know about their status and would judge them, discriminate, or deprive them of their rights. This happens very frequently. How many people have taken their house helps to go test for HIV, yet themselves, they've never been tested? Or maybe for ladies, when we were going to have our babies, we just had to, because it's a requirement, we went and got tested. But you, when you are employing this lady, you first want to know, is this person HIV positive or negative? Let us not feel like this issue is for them and not us. We are also them to some people. I hope that will challenge us and will think twice about it. And some people will go to, I've seen, actually this is an experience that I've seen. I went to a salon and a lady came with rashes into the same salon that I was with. And that was sad because the lady who was supposed to do her hair said, and she said it loudly in a language that the person who came could not understand. Unfortunately, I'm speaking the same language that this lady was talking about. And she said, no, I can't do that lady's hair. Can't you see those rashes? This lady might be HIV positive and she might infect me. Can you believe this lady was told, sorry, I'm busy. I can't do your hair. I have a queue. And the lady walked out. That was so sad and so inhuman. What if you are the one who is HIV positive and someone decides to do that to you? How would you feel? What would you do? Let us try and embrace everybody regardless of their HIV status. We have public stigma also. Despite the fact that we can also stigmatize ourselves, since we know the negative attitude that people have towards the ones that are living with HIV, then we can also apply to them and say like, oh no, people know I'm positive, people will think that I'm coughing because of this, I have these rashes because of this, I have this health condition because of this, and then we stigmatize ourselves. That can also happen. Now, with public stigma, discrimination against people with HIV is still rampant. And this one, I've experienced it, I've witnessed because of the kind of people that I work with. I spend 5 days of the week with them. And then some individuals are still uncomfortable talking about it and assume that it is for a certain group of people. As I said earlier, in church, let me say an example of Newlife. I'm in church, and when I'm talking, I'll say that the community, the people out there, I'm forgetting that when I leave Newlife, I'll go to the same community. I'll interact with these same people. So let us not think that it is for a certain group of people. They are judged and made feel like they're outcasts. Some people will not even visit you in the hospital if they are aware that you are HIV positive. People are not, well educated on this. So let us avoid that and let's just treat everybody right the way they deserve. We should all understand that anybody can be infected or affected. If you're not infected, you can be infected tomorrow. And if you will not be infected, you will be affected in one way or the other. So always have that at the back of your mind. Then we treat the infected with love and dignity. They deserve it. It's their right. Then we also have effects of stigma. Fear of disclosure. If I know that you're going to judge me negatively, I'll not disclose to you. And that's how we get to infect new people. People who are not HIV positive, we end up infecting them because we don't disclose. We fear. Then self-blame. I'll start blaming myself. Guilt, despair, depression. Some people end up getting depressed because they've reached a point that they don't know how to deal with the society or deal with themselves anymore. Ridicule and denial of services. I've just given you an example of the lady who went to a salon and her hair could not be made simply because she came with some physical signs that somebody somewhere assumed that they were HIV positive. They might have been wrong or right. We need to get to zero stigma. We need to talk openly about HIV, and that would help normalize the subject. The more you talk about something, the more you get confident, the more you open your mind and you read further And that helps you to know more about a certain condition, and it gives you some comfort when you are dealing with everybody. Consider disclosure with people you trust. I mean, if I trust you, I'll come and tell you, no, this is what I'm going through, and just support me, be there for me. Being intentional and mindful of the language we use. Sometimes we can really be careless when we are making some comments, and you don't know that the comment you are making, the person seated right next to you is struggling with this. And if I give a careless statement, that statement alone can kill this person. This person already has so much, and they need support from you. Involve the people living with HIV in service delivery. Educate yourself and others about HIV. Help institutions recognize stigma. When you go to the hospital, don't just indicate at the door, HIV and AIDS clinic. So that when everyone is going inside there, they'll definitely know this is person who is infected. Become an advocate of zero stigma. Use the media to show that HIV has a human face. HIV does not infect animals. It infects human beings. So let us be kind to them and treat them well. Now, all is not lost if you are infected. There is hope for people living with HIV. Take your ARTs properly as instructed by the doctor. Then God's unconditional love, John 3:16. Then God's promise of restoring our body, Philippians 3:21. Now, that's all I had for you, and I would like to remind you that let's unite to end HIV stigma. Thank you very much, and I hope you are blessed. Thank you.